Yeah.
Is an awesome God he reigns from heaven above with wisdom, power, and love. Our God is an awesome God.
Our God is awesome. Let's
Is
go.
an awesome God he reigns from heaven above
I like that. I always wanted to flip this joint. Let's get it. Yeah. Hey. All power, he contains it. The man on his own.
Join the Acts Ministries as we celebrate 30 years of ministry, March the 8th through the 15th. That's 1 week of celebration with special guests, Dr. Elaine Schaus-Waller from Virginia Beach, Virginia.
He's a man and a woman who are saying, this is who we will become, that we don't know fully what we're going to become, but we do know that we vow that as we come together, something bigger than each of us individually could do can now happen. Oh, somebody better bless God.
And Dr. Noah Nicholson from Chicago, Illinois.
Somebody just take a step. Tell the devil I'm walking over it. I'm walking out of it. I'm claiming new territory. I'm claiming new vision. I'm claiming new miracles. I'm claiming new power.
That's 1 full week of celebration. Our theme this year is looking at ministry through 2020 spiritual lens. Don't forget, March the 8th through the 15th as Acts Ministry celebrates 30 years of ministry.
All glory, he demands it.
Welcome to the Words to Empower podcast, featuring Bishop Frank Stewart, pastor of the Acts Ministry in Conway and North Little Rock, and now Pastor Stewart.
Welcome back to your Acts Ministry podcast. Talking about purpose, and we're really focusing on looking at ourselves through 2020 spiritual lens. We did that in January. Just looked at ourselves, gave ourselves a good looking over, looked at everything that comprises us, body, soul, and spirit, our upbringing, our family tree, our environment that we grew up in. We just looked at ourselves. And then we get in the month of February, and the Lord tell us to focus our looking through the 2020 spiritual lens, and tell us we need to focus on looking for purpose. An analogy we gave is like somebody walking into a room, and when you walk in there, you went in there for something, or you went in there to do something, and all of a sudden when you walk into the room, you realize that you have forgotten why you went in the room. And it's frustrating, and you're thinking and you're saying many times out loud, what did I come in here for? And I believe that in life, we're doing the same thing. And we're so preoccupied with distractions. So many things are going on in life that we're forgetting our main purpose of being here in this room. What room is that? Earth, on this planet. What is our purpose? So we've been talking about that. We just spent a great deal of time talking about Jeremiah, his life story, dealing with purpose, then Apostle Paul dealing with purpose. And I want to introduce today a man named King Saul. Not the Saul that became Apostle Paul, what we just finished talking about, but King Saul. Because I believe that King Saul's life is very, very foretelling for us. I believe we can glean so much from his life. There are so many parallels that we see that can be applied to our lives. You've heard me say it once, and I'll say it again, that the Bible was written for us. It says that in the book of Romans that it was written for our learning and our admonition. It was not written for the people in the Bible. It was written for us. We are the ones that the Bible was written for. So when anybody tells you that the Bible is outdated, you need to help them to understand that it can't be when it's written for us. It's written in the past for the future. So I want to look at the life of Saul in the Old Testament in 1 Samuel chapter 9. And over the next few days, I want to really walk through his life so you can see how God led him into purpose, how God led him into his purpose. And brothers and sisters, he's no respective person. What he did for King Saul, he'll do the very same thing for us. Now, we started this series talking about what God said to Jeremiah in Jeremiah chapter 1 and 4, when the word of the Lord came to Jeremiah. In verse 5, it says, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you was born, I sanctified you. I ordained you a prophet to the nations." And that's what God says to Jeremiah. Of course, Jeremiah said he couldn't do it, but God told him not to say that. And to further emphasize the Jeremiah purpose, in Jeremiah chapter 18, God told him to go to the potter's house. Go down there and see the potter forming a vessel on the wheel. Go look at that. Go and look and see how he shapes that and forms it. And after you do that, Jeremiah, I want you to understand that I know the thoughts that I have towards you. And this is what I want you to be. That's Jeremiah 29 and verse 11. When God says to Israel, I know the thoughts that I have for you, about you. Thoughts to do you good and not evil, to bring you to an expected end. So God, when you look at the book of Jeremiah, he gives us these incredible nuggets, especially when we're looking at purpose. I think we'll see the same thing in the life of Saul. In 1 Samuel chapter 9, and I want to go verse by verse and just talk about what we see in the book of the book of Samuel. So let's start off with it. Verse 1 says, "There was a man of Benjamin whose name was Kish, the son of Abiel, the son of Zeror, the son of Bethorah, the son of Epheliah, a Benjamite, a mighty man of power." Now, the one thing that we sometimes struggle with is reading the names in the Old Testament. And they don't seem to be reverent. It just doesn't seem relevant to be reading all these names that are hard to pronounce and so forth. So, and many times we miss the point. You know, there's a couple of points that is made when you see that. And one of the points that is made is that everybody is important to God. Everyone. All these difficult names that we read, everybody had a purpose. So God honors everyone. He put these names here because these are people. These are people just like we are. These are people that were important to God. So he put the names there. But the other thing that he does that we have to zero in on, he gives us Saul family tree.
Stay tuned for more of Frank Stewart. And now for some special announcements.
Thanks for partnering with the Acts Ministries. We value your service and your donations. That's why we've made it easy to make contributions to support our ministry. Simply go to your web browser and click the search bar and type in actsministriesonline.org. Then click Donate Online. It's really that easy. For mobile giving, text the amount you wish to donate to 501-302-4242. That's Simple Give.
And now, more of Pastor Frank Stewart.
He gives us his family tree. He starts off talking about of Benjamin. Benjamin was one of the sons of Jacob. Benjamin was a tribe in Israel. So he starts off with the tribe of Benjamin. And he began to talk about Saul's father and Then he talks about his grandfather and his great-grandfather and his great-great-grandfather. And then he began to tell us about some of the characteristics of Saul's father. So what that does is it helps us to understand that Saul was raised in a particular environment. Now, brothers and sisters, and maybe I didn't emphasize it enough, but that's important, very, very important. The environment you grew up in, your family tree. Now, I think people have experienced that it's very important to understand this when you get married, in marriage. Now, I know some dreamers and some people that are not realistic say, well, I'm only marrying him. I'm only marrying her. No, brother, no, sister. You're marrying the whole family. You are marrying everybody. And you become a son or a daughter in that family. And your children are going to grow up in that family. So what God does here, he gives us Saul's family tree. He helps us to understand a little bit about Saul's father and his grandfather and great-great-great-grandfather. So he tells us and takes us back to the beginning, and that's Benjamin. Benjamin was one of the sons of Jacob, and Benjamin, being one of the 12 sons, became one of the 12 tribes of Israel. This is how the nation was formed. So he talks about that. He sets that in order. And then he says this, a mighty man of power. Mighty man of power. He's not talking about Saul, but he's talking about his father. There's a tremendous connection. This is very important. So when we talk about just looking at ourselves through 2020 spiritual lens, it's important to understand that no man is an island, and we have been impacted in these physical bodies by our surroundings and by the DNA we possess. So he gives us all these names, and to us in our culture, they seem it doesn't seem relevant, but it is relevant. He says that Saul's father was a mighty man of power. I mean, he had great authority. He was a mighty man. That means he was rich. He was rich. Saul had servants. He grew up with servants. His father had servants. So he's laying a foundation so we can really get a good glimpse of Saul, who he was, and who he was to become. So verse 2 says, and he had a choice and handsome son whose name was Saul. There was not a more handsome person than he among the children of Israel. From his shoulders upward, he was taller than any of the people. Now that's important. That's very important. He talks about his father. He tells us about his origin. And then he began to tell us about Saul himself. He says Saul was handsome. And that Saul, from shoulders upward, he was taller than anybody else. He was look at this. He was not only a choice man, but he said he was a handsome man. And he was tall and handsome, and he was a choice man. Now watch this. He has all this going for him, plus his father's rich and his father's powerful. Powerful. So everything that is going on in Saul's life right now, he's still not walking in his purpose. He's not in his purpose. He's got a rich, powerful father. He's a very handsome, tall young man, and apparently he's admired by many people. So Saul has all of this, but God is getting ready to lead him into his divine purpose. Divine purpose. So he's going to do this in such a divine way that I really want us to pay attention to this. And we're going to see this in verse 3. He's getting ready to do it in such a way to lead him into purpose. And he's going to do it without Saul knowing about it. You know, sometimes we think that we're not going to start moving towards purpose until we discover what purpose is, and then we'll start preparing. Well, the fallacy in that, brothers and sisters, that if we had to wait until we knew our purpose, we would lose so much time. Many times, God has already started that process from birth. He has placed us in certain situations, certain circumstances, certain things are already happening in our lives, and it is as if we discover what our purpose is, but it has already begun in our lives before we know it. God just makes it plain. He just makes it clear. He helps us to see it through 2020 spiritual lens. He helps us to see it the way he sees it. So I want you to pay attention. I want you to stay tuned, because I'm going to get into this, but I'm going to get into verse number 3, and I'm going to show you how God led Saul into his purpose without Saul even knowing about it. And the reason I'm saying that is because many of us, God is trying to point us into our purpose, or lead us into purpose. And because we are resistant, or because we don't understand what is happening, then we just walk straight on out of it, or we don't pay attention to what is happening in our lives. So I believe the study of this man Saul is going to make us alert in life, and not just alert, but aware of the things that are happening to us, the things that are happening around about us, and things even in our family. So I want you to stay tuned until tomorrow as we come back and take up here at verse number 3.
For mobile giving, text the amount you wish to donate to 501-302-4242.
The Acts Church in North Little Rock is located at 1224 Franklin Street. Morning Glory begins at 8 a.m. on Sunday mornings. Sunday school begins at 8:30 a.m. And for a powerful word, join us at 9:30 a.m. for our morning worship service. Bible study is each Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. At our Conway location, Morning Glory begins at 10 a.m. Sunday school begins at 10:30 a.m. Worship service begins at 11:30 a.m. On Thursday, our Bible class begins at 6:30 p.m. For more information, go to actsministriesonline.org or give us a call at 501-329-2055.
Thank you for tuning in to the Acts Ministry Podcast. The Acts Church is located at 1423 England Street in Conway and 1224 Franklin Street in North Little Rock, Arkansas. Tune in each day to hear an inspiring word from Pastor Frank Stewart.